Hey, 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 chickadees. So, this is the episode with Dr. Becky Whetstone. This is the first time I'm using some software for side by side video recording, and be patient. I'm learning, please. But great interview with her, a great podcast. I'm learning that YouTube is also a podcast. And I just want to let you know that I'm going to be shocked if you don't learn something. I learned something, not that I know everything, because I know very little, to be perfectly honest. But I learned something, and so I hope this helps you learn something as well. We talk a lot about marriage and a little bit about other relationships in our time together. So come on in and join us. All right, chickadees, welcome into today's special episode of Mojo Mysticism, where I have my new bestie, Dr. Becky Whetstone. Welcome, Dr. Becky. Thank you for joining us.
Molly.
I adore you too, my love. Thank you. Thank you for doing this for us. So I'm going to read a little bit about who you really are, Becky, and then I'm going to tell them who I think you really are.
Oh,
And then we'll dive into some cards.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Excellent. All right. Dr. Becky Whetstone is a native of Arkansas and author of the nonfiction book, I Think I Want Out, What to Do When One of You Wants to Leave Your Marriage. Also the author of The Congressman's Wife. Dr. Whetstone holds a PhD in marriage and family therapy from St. Mary's University in San Antonio, Texas. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist in both Arkansas and Texas. For clients that are outside of those states, so that might be some of you listening in other countries, she works with people as a consultant and a life coach. You have a very broad reach. Dr. Whetstone does therapy virtually only using either phone or Zoom. In addition to her therapy practice, Dr. Whetstone writes a blog about relationships available on her website. Will be in the description. It's marriagecrisismanager.com and on the Medium platform as well.
That's right.
Yeah. In her writing
now, almost 200 blogs.
I have read a lot of those, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't known each other that long, but I've actually read a lot of them. So, yeah. So in her writing, Dr. Whetstone promises to teach the general public everything she knows. That's what I love about you. I'm the same way, but except not of the same subject, because you're going to teach everything you know about mental and emotional health and relationships. I'm going to teach stuff that's, just like how to draw lines, arcs, and circles and pull oracle cards. Talk to spirits and dead people,
I love it. I want to learn that too.
Yeah. So welcome, Dr. Whetstone, Dr. Becky.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate this. This is so much fun. I feel like I'm talking with my bud.
Well, you are. Oh, you're definitely buds. And for those of you out there, we actually live in the same general area in Arkansas.
We have never met in person.
We have never met in person. And how I met you was through another therapist that I had, and I was asking about a marriage therapist because I love therapies. And I think I've rattled off on this channel a few times, like the list of things that I do. And we wanted marriage therapy and as well to, we hit a little bit of a rough patch in the spring and ironed it out relatively quickly. You can tell me if you think that's the case. And
I know nothing. I know.
That's right. You have some rules you have to follow. But
you can talk about it all you want.
Yes, I can. So, yeah. So, but this kind of thing happens in relationships. And we talked about it on the channel on Friday's the episode for December 12th, where we kind of talked about, you've kind of got what's going on the surface of the ocean, and then you've got the middle and the bottom layer of the ocean. They're very different characteristics of the water in those depths. And so you might have a hurricane or a tsunami happening on the surface, but it might be very, very calm on the bottom. So, I think what happened with us in the spring was the surface level stuff, and we got it worked out. And now we get to hang out with Dr. Becky just to kind of do check-ins and make sure everything's going smooth. So she's released us into the wild.
Well, I fell in love with you guys, and I fall in love with almost all my clients. I'm just, when we share special times together, that builds a bond, It
does.
You
it really
can't help
does.
but care about them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I heard you have another new package out there for people, and I don't know hardly anything about it. So can you explain that to me?
The thing is, I am decided. I got, I had a worked for a newspaper and I'm an obsessive writer. And so it doesn't matter if a newspaper is publishing what I write or not, I am going to write. Okay. So thank God for blogs and the internet and stuff like that.
Wow. Yeah, I need to hang out with you a lot more because I'm not an obsessive writer and should be.
Yeah. So I can't even remember. Oh, my packages. Okay. So after the newspaper and I thought the newspaper working for a newspaper was gonna be very sexy and you're gonna be kind of independent. Oh, no, it's like it's a corporate job. It's a corporate job.
Mm,
And so that was a place where I learned that I did not like the corporate culture, I guess. I didn't
yeah.
l I'm a dreamer like you, Molly. I think big. I'm an out of the box person. And those people would quell me. They would try to, like, tie me up with rope, and they would tell me, "No, you can't do this," and so I really hated that restraint, so I swore to myself after I left the newspaper that I would, go finish my schooling and everything, and I would forever be self-employed. Now, I'm a writer. I think I'm a pretty good therapist. I'm very passionate about what I do, but I am not a businesswoman. I'm not a good I'm not you just can't be all things, Molly.
No, no, you can't.
So I've had to kinda learn to market myself and whatnot, and I kinda get stuck at this sort of stagnant place of a certain amount of business, and that's the way it is, and I just feel like, I'm like, uh, just, I guess, punching a clock in a way, doing so many hours a week,
Mm,
and then that's it. So I wanted something bigger and more exciting, and I really wanted to scale my business. And so you had recommended a coach for me to help show me and teach me how to do this since I realized I don't have time nor desire to go out and learn this on my own. I'd asked my husband to figure it out, and he was like, uh, 'cause he's retired, but he's a physician and we all know physicians aren't good business people either.
well, that's true. Architects aren't either, by the way.
So, I needed help. I asked for help. And so this coach suggested that instead of working, hey, make one appointment and we'll make another appointment at the end of your session, to encourage people to commit more to the process. Because some people will just come once or twice and they get busy or they think they got enough and then they don't come back. So I would like to have more long-term relationships with people where I can and in these long-term relationships with people, I can really make a difference in their relationships. So, it benefits me from a, professional satisfaction standpoint, and it benefits them because they get so much more of me.
Mm,
So that she suggested that I come up with these packages where I'm like, I kind of work in 3 different areas. That is, I help couples who have a marriage crisis. I oversee their crisis and keep them from blowing up the town.
it's important work. Yeah.
I consider myself an overseer and a coach and a manager. So I'm very directive in helping people through their crisis and talking them off the cliff and trying to get them stabilized so we can make wise decisions. And then in the last year and a half or so, I realized that I needed to expand my expertise into helping people amicably divorce because I was just going, okay, go, y'all want a divorce and you're going to amicably divorce, right? And they'd go, yeah. And then they'd leave. And then I'd check in with them later and I'd find out that they'd, not had an amicable divorce.
They blew up the town. They
Yeah, they
blew up
blew,
the town
yeah,
after all.
exactly. They went off the rails, let's say.
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, dang it, I think I'm gonna have to expand my business where I hold their hand and walk them through every step of the process of an amicable divorce, and I hold them accountable, and I'm overseeing everything, and I think I figured out a way where we can do this without hiring family lawyers who
Oh, wow.
everybody hates." And so,
Yeah.
so I have parents who are divorced who struggle with co-parenting. It's
Mm,
really hard when you just got rid of somebody that annoys you to death to then now be a cordial co-parent. So I
That's
decided
tough.
that I could come up with some forms and documents to help them plan it, and because children thrive in having continuity between the 2 households. So
Mhm.
I'm the person that holds them accountable to continuity. And so we have the
That's
same
great.
bedtimes. If you're punished at dad's house, the punishment carries over to mom's house. If you don't get to use the pad at your house except for an hour a night, then it's the same at both houses, that kind of stuff. And so I developed this co-parenting plan. So with the marriage crisis management, you're going to be working with me for at least 2 to 6 months, at least. So I started selling a package where for 2 months or 3 months or 6 months of marriage crisis management oversight. And when they buy these packages, then I set them up on a Voxer account where we communicate daily if they want to. They ask me, "What about this? We're having trouble with that." And I will sit down and write a blog for them. I will record them videos that are personally tailored to them. So in these packages, I have more time to really give them individualized help. So, yeah, so I offer these packages for all 3 levels of what I do, which is the marriage crisis, the amicable divorce, and the co-parenting. So, yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
I've got my first people that have entered into the packages, and I'm just having a blast because I'm tending to them, and it's so much better. I never felt right about only talking to them for an hour and then not again till a week or 2 later for another hour. This being, like their new best friend and helping them in that way has been extremely satisfying and gratifying for me and hopeful.
I love that. Yeah, well, I assume it is for them because it certainly was helpful for us, although I don't think either one of us necessarily felt like we were in crisis. We just knew we needed some help sorting some stuff out
I don't know.
um
I don't wanna
and
say anything.
no, no, you can. It's okay. You have my permissions. But
I felt like you had hit a kinda rock bottom place for yourself.
well, probably for me more than for Tina,
It's always
mostly,
one
but
person. It's
that's
always
true. That's true.
one person who's the one that is at the end of the rope.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it was just that I really wanted some change, like, in one area, and so I don't know. I mean, sometimes I don't know that I felt like I hit rock bottom, but maybe I did. I knew that we needed help, right? So because we were coming at the issue from 2 polar opposites and we weren't meeting in the middle necessarily. And so I've learned over the years of, 30 plus years now, 31 plus. Oh my gosh.
Amazing.
That like if I get a third party intermediary, things can go smoother.
There's something magical about having a therapist sit with you and help you understand one another, you
That's
know?
true.
And,
That's true.
I go to marriage therapy with my husband, and what I love about it is she'll sit there and ask him a bunch of questions, and he'll answer them, and I will learn things I didn't know that he was thinking
Right?
or feeling,
Right?
and
Yeah.
I feel really, closer to him after those sessions and very
Mhm.
soft toward him after we sat there and understood each other. Yeah.
Yeah, now it's funny how I learned this because, we were getting ready to remodel. We moved from Tulsa to Little Rock about 3.5 years ago, and before we left Tulsa, we were gonna remodel our kitchen, and I learned that me as an architect is just that she did not feel heard if I was the one designing it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have my team do it. So I had my team step in and do it. And it went much smoother because there was not, the assumption that I was just going to always get my way seemed to not be there. And so when we moved into this house, I asked my interior designer to help us pick paint colors and all that, flooring and all that fun stuff, just because it just seemed to go smoother. And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of third party intermediaries to help you understand each
Absolutely,
other better. So, yeah,
absolutely.
Well, so here's my question, and then we're going to get into the cards. So I have one other question for you because what keeps popping up for me is a just something to suggest right here, live on YouTube, live, not live on YouTube, would be like the marriage crisis prevention package, right? That check-in, like that check-in package where you just, maybe you buy a year worth and you check in every other month or something and have whatever. I don't know what that package looks like, but
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, you sent me to an energy man
yes,
who told me that preventive measures to prevent a marriage crisis, like so how to kind of get your marriage much healthier now so that you won't have to talk to me in marriage crisis management later. And so there's been a lot of talk about me moving in the direction
that's
of
interesting.
prevention. I'm finishing up my book, The Congressman's Wife, right now, which is on Substack, and having an absolute blast doing it. And I wrote the book 20 years ago, so coming back to it 20 years later, I forgot about that, you know?
Oops.
I mean, it's really a blast, but when I finish this one, then obviously what's sitting before me is what's next, because 'cause I'm getting kind of addicted to writing books, so, like, before you write your first one, folks, usually it's like sitting there like Mount Everest, you know?
Yeah.
And once you've, like, done it, and it ain't easy, like, it's not
Ooh.
easy, but I'm like, "Okay, let's do it again," like, so my only issue about the preventative piece is this, like, it's human nature that people aren't motivated to do all
Right.
these things that they really should be doing, and everyone should do it, but they just really won't stop what they're doing, their busy lives, and take the time to put their focus on something unless it goes to the top of their list.
Right.
So, and things don't become on the top of your list till you're usually getting, very, 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 very uncomfortable. So that's the only thing is, maybe I would call the book something like relationship or marriage school, because I really feel
Mm,
like we would all benefit if our culture would make us
yes.
go to like 2 years of courses in understanding healthy adult dynamics, healthy couple dynamics, and healthy family dynamics and children dynamics. So you've taken classes in these things, and so you've got a basic understanding of how to be healthy. And you can't get a marriage license unless you take the class and get
Right.
the diploma.
That would be awesome. I think there's a lot of marriages that will be a lot healthier if that were the
So
case. So,
I
yeah,
might put together a curriculum like that,
there you go.
and that may be my next book.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. So, yeah, I think you're definitely onto something because, like, when we were talking through, when I was doing the videos for this week and pulling these cards, and I knew that my guides wanted me to talk about relationships, and I shouldn't say my guides because it was just I call in on all the viewers' guides too, and it's like, what do you want us to do? And they have been bringing a card up over and over again I think it came up at least once on this channel, and then it came up two or three times in different readings, both for just me pulling cards for myself, and then when I would pull some for Tina, and then I pulled some for my family at Thanksgiving, and this damn card came up again. I'm like, clearly there is something here. And that card it's called Good Partnerships, and it wasn't one that came out this week, but the essence of this card, and I talked about it over and over and over again this week, is that if we're going to be a good partner, or if we want good partnerships in our life, whatever that means, whatever relationship that means, it could be family, parent child, romantic relationship, or even a friendship, that we're not going to attract good partnerships unless we actually become a good partner, right? So it
Yeah,
starts with us.
there's no doubt that you will attract someone who's on the same level of mental and emotional health that you are. There's
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
gotta tell you, the healthier I got, the harder it got to meet somebody too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's okay. I'm part of being healthy is patience and being able to be alone and enjoy your
Yeah.
life alone. So,
Yeah.
it all synchronizes together and then
Mhm.
one day somebody shows up and you're going, "I can't find anything wrong with him." Wow.
Right. Yeah, because he's perfect. He was made just for you. So,
Well, now I
yeah.
I I can find things wrong with him now.
You've had enough practice.
But they're parking tickets.
Yeah, it's the surface of the ocean kinda stuff,
Parking
right?
ticket
Parking
level
tickets. Yeah.
misdemeanors, that
Right.
are,
Right.
either whatever or, they're easily fixable.
Yeah, I loved that blog post, by the way, so I don't remember the title of it, but I loved it where you laid out, like, the level of criminal activity on the part of
I just think that's a
partner.
great way to think about, marital crimes.
Right, yeah.
And I
Yeah,
do call them misdemeanors and, different
yeah.
grade felonies, and then, of
Felonies,
course,
yeah.
capital crimes.
Capital crimes, yeah. Yeah, we hope we stay away from the capital crimes, but every now and then those get committed, so
Well,
geez.
we all have they always say that you haven't been married if you haven't wanted to murder your your spouse at
Oh,
one
well, I'll
time.
tell you. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's there's something called normal marital hatred, and so marriages many times have really low lows, you know,
They do. Yeah, they
and
do.
so part of you know a significant percentage of the couples that make it for many many years have white knuckled it for different eras of the marriage.
Yeah. I do think that's normal. I mean, we certainly, have had some ups and downs in our relationship as well, and it's funny because the thing that I have learned, and I was talking about this even, 2 days ago with, now I'm kinda coming back to the cards a little bit, but on, Go the Distance a couple days ago, we were talking about long-term relationships. Was just this idea, well, in my experience too, of when you work through those issues, like, you know, you're better off on the other side, and then the love always grows deeper and you're more stable, and you have a better understanding of your partner, and that goes for any kind of relationship as well. But I've always found I just get astonished every like year or so when I just fall in love all over again, and it's a deeper kind of love that just I never thought really existed. So, 30 years ago or 31 or however long it was, I thought, "Oh, I love this person." And then that was gonna be the pinnacle, right? And then everything from there was downhill, and maybe not in the best way, but what I found was that it's exactly the opposite. When you commit to somebody and you're able to work these things out because you both lean in the situation, and, then it just grows deeper and deeper over
I agree
time,
with
so
you. It's quite complicated because we all change and grow so much, and
yeah.
evolve along the way. So you can't predict how your partner's gonna do
No,
that, right? And so I
no.
like to tell my clients that I imagine that couples in the early years of their relationship are like a diamond that has been picked out of the ground, and there's a wonderful gem in there, but you got to start chipping all the stuff off of it, and then finally you get to the diamond, and then the diamond needs to be cut, into so that it'll be sparkling. And so every time you get to know each other better or have another bonding experience, it's you honing that diamond, and then hopefully you get to a point where you know each other so well, that it's easier. It's easy.
Oh,
Not
definitely,
difficult
yeah.
as it was before, and you've grown up and you've matured.
Yeah, well, hopefully. So, hopefully
Yeah.
you've matured. You've definitely gotten older, hopefully you've also matured. So, yeah. Alright, well, great. So, yeah, so we started out the week this week with card 32, which was mending, and, this was looking really primarily at forgiveness and mending I called it mending fences, but it's really about mending relationships after, some kind of a disconnect or even maybe a full on argument or even a fight. But this was really I looked at it and talked about it as there's really kind of two types of people. There's people that, and I think you actually talk about this in your blog about, someone, in a marriage context, one partner is leaning in and the other one's leaning out. And I talked about it just generally, like in a relationship. And when you hit a little rough patch, there might be one of you that's leaning in and the other one might be leaning out. And if you
Yeah,
lean in too far, you're really in attachment, which is not helpful. And if you lean out too far, you're in avoidance, which is not helpful.
exactly.
Yeah. And then there's the kind of this weird place that kind of overlays this weird ground kind of in the leaning outside, which is just, I call it the pass through. It's like, I don't want to deal with what's going on. I can't handle conflict. My parasympathetic nervous system is just on fire and has gone to shit. And I have to just run. I just, like total dismissive avoidance. Nothing ever happened. And, if I just continue to let the time heals all wounds approach, which doesn't seem to work very well. So, yeah. So what would
No,
you add to that? What would you correct or add to that?
in trauma, we pile them up,
Yeah,
and that energy's in your body and it's wanting to discharge.
yeah.
So, a lot of people don't understand that. They think they're like, I can just compartmentalize it or stuff it down, but your brain knows it's there and
Mm,
your body knows it's there.
yeah. Wow, that's interesting. So are you suggesting to me that maybe if I have a little altercation with Tina or a friend of mine, I might be bringing up all my subconscious BS, all my trauma?
There's no doubt that when you're calm, like we are now, I call it green light. Green
Yeah.
light, just, very calm and we can think very clearly. Then Tina does something that annoys you and your sympathetic nervous system gets fired. If your sympathetic nervous system gets fired and you go into the fight, flight, or freeze response, then
Mm,
that is an absolute indicator that she just hit one of your old trauma wounds.
interesting. Interesting.
And so in my training in trauma work, even the person who had invented this model named Pia Melody, who wrote the book Facing Codependence, and I was in her training, she still had activations of her nervous system after working in this 40 years.
Wow.
And she just said, all it means is I still have undealt with trauma. That's all it means. And now I need to stop and deal with it. And she actually sat on a stool in front of everybody, and the other facilitator worked with her to release, to understand where the trauma was coming from and to release it.
Ah, that's fascinating. That's
It is,
fascinating.
it really is because it's just a theme, like whatever Tina did in that moment that ignited your nervous system is just an old theme from your past. Someone in your past did something similar to what Tina just did, and so we like for
Yeah.
you to draw the connection between the past and what's going on now because for some reason, our brain seems to cut cut that particular trauma where you don't have it anymore after you become aware of the ties between the 2.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So that kind of leads us to the second card, which was the here and now card 32, where I talked about like time is a construct that we've created. And so really the past and the future, neither one exists. All we really have literally is the here and now. And yet we build all this trauma up in our past, right? And it comes out in the present when we get triggered. And I think that I'd love to hear a little bit about that because it just seems like we should just be able to wipe that away, right? Like, if the past
Yes.
doesn't exist, then the trauma doesn't
Well,
exist.
in
But that's
fact,
not the way our brains work. Yeah.
non-human mammals, um, do erase it. Like, when
Interesting.
I was studying trauma, after I finished my PMLD training, I went and got somatic experiencing training,
Mhm.
which is all about focusing on what's going on in your body and learning how to discharge this energy from from within. And okay, so the way it works is that, the gazelle is out there in the Serengeti, right? And
Mhm.
the jaguar or whatever cat sees the gazelle and starts to chase the gazelle. So the gazelle's sympathetic nervous system fires and it's running for its life, right? And so if the gazelle manages to escape the cat, then they have videos and they showed them to us in the somatic experiencing training, and I guess that's what I was trying to say is we those of like these gazelles and other mammals out in Africa that had survived a almost fatal attack, and they were laying down in like a private kind of place, and their body was just shaking,
Mm.
like
Mhm.
and it was discharging that trauma. It's the
Interesting.
human being who's the only animal who doesn't do that naturally. I don't know if you've ever been in a car wreck or something and found your body shaking afterward,
Yeah.
but that's that response, and your body's trying to expunge that, you know, energy, but human beings are going, "No, I don't wanna be shaking like this. I don't want to, um, do this or this, all these things that you could do to discharge the energy." So we just stop ourselves from finishing the process and store it up inside.
Stuff it.
It's like, I have, they know they told me in somatic experiencing that a lot of my trauma tends to manifest itself in my throat and jaw, and that's true for a lot of people. And it's sort of like having to do with me having a voice, and that's one of the things I work on all the time is I want to have a voice. I do feel like my voice has been quelled numerous times throughout my life. So that's an ongoing, see, there goes my voice, ongoing theme for,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah. That's why I sit here with tons of throat lozenges and like 24 ounces of liquids here when I'm working.
Mhm.
Because when I get to talk a lot. But there's been I can tell you many times when I experienced a stressful moment when my TMJ immediately returned
Mm.
in my jaw, and I couldn't, like, open my mouth for weeks, you know?
And got lockjaw even? Just like
I have had some really nasty TMJ in my life. Less so more recently.
mhm.
But, in somatic experiencing, they teach you to release, like whether you're feeling the trauma in your because your vagus nerve goes out along from the base of your neck, all the way
Uh,
down in little fans, down your
mm.
chest, into your stomach, and down towards your pelvis. And so when you're feeling these charges in your body, whether it's your neck, your chest, your stomach, your solar plexus, that is your vagus nerve firing, okay?
Wow.
And it's like your brain, uh, your subconscious mind knows about everything that's ever happened to you, and it's stored it up in your brain, which is your hard drive.
Mhm.
So some old nasty theme shows up in my life one Tuesday afternoon, and boink, immediately, bah, my jaw goes it tries to the stress of that clenches, right, in my jaw. It's so tender and sensitive, and, yeah, and so when this happens, in somatic experiencing, the way you deal with it is you focus on that area in your jaw and, start, of course, trying to move it.
Mhm.
And then when your intuition tells you it's ready, you can either cough it up like a cat does a hairball.
Mhm.
That's literally what it sounds like. Is you just go with your intuition or just sit for a little while focusing on that energy and do some vibrational noises with your mouth like the old Indian
Interesting.
guru. So we were taught to go like "voo" and just keep doing that and keep doing that, and there's something about it, we don't know why, but it releases some of that pent up trauma in our bodies.
That's really interesting. Wow. I'll
Yes.
have to try that out. Yeah, because I get mine comes in the back of my head, and on the right side too, so it's got its own nest that it likes to hang out in.
Well, yeah, I would love for you to talk to that next time it comes up.
I will.
Ask it what it's trying to tell you.
Yeah, I will, that's really interesting, so yeah, so the other thing that we talked about, on here and now is just being present in our relationships. When we're talking to somebody, actually really listening to them and really trying to
Mm.
understand what they're communicating to us. And yeah, and I think I challenged everybody to take a day and um, write down when they're present in their conversations or when they've, kind of run off into a daydream or, just weren't listening and just kind of take inventory of how present they are with other people in general.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I've had, like, can we talk about sex a little bit?
Yeah. We can talk about anything here. So, we can
I've had
talk about
some
anything here.
clients tell me that they're not enjoying sex with their spouse, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And when I dig a little deeper, I find out that they're sitting there making love with their spouse, thinking about the project they've got to do tomorrow. You
Mhm.
know, when I finish this, I'm going to go mow the lawn.
Why
And then they're
bother at that point? Why
and then
bother?
they're
Yeah.
telling me they feel disconnected. I'm like, okay, here's your exercise.
Mhm.
Next time you and your spouse are about to intimately connect, promise yourself that you will be completely and totally tuned in. Notice their skin, feel the texture of their skin, smell their,
Mhm.
smell their, most of our, partners have their little unique smell, like smell them, like note, look at their eyes, the little hairs on their eyelids and just be completely present to everything that all the senses, hearing, seeing, feeling, sensing,
Mhm.
And he came back and he's like, "Oh my God, I feel like such a fool because I had great sex with my wife because I made myself tune in to her." And and he was overwhelmed, really.
Oh, that's nice.
Mhm.
It's nice. Hopefully he's still doing that and still having great sex. So,
Let's hope. Haven't talked
yeah,
to him in a long
definitely.
time. Maybe things are good.
Hopefully they are. We'll just put that energy out there
Eh,
for him that it's all good. So, yeah. So that's really interesting and that actually kind of gets us to the third card in our in the reading this week, which was exchanging gifts. Now we're probably not going to talk too much about the exchange during sex, but it is an exchange. Like and actually even past that, not necessarily go the distance because that was really about distance. But yesterday we talked about the why in relationships, and this really talks to reciprocity to some degree, right? And the exchange of giving and receiving, and that when you're intimate with a sexual partner, that exchange is it takes on a whole different level of meaning. There is still meaning in giving and receiving in every relationship that we have, and we all get to establish what our boundaries and thresholds are for that, for like who gets in the inner circle and who stays out on the outside, and and who we're actually going to maybe partner up with in a sexual relationship. But yeah, that exchanging gifts is just it's that, and the reciprocity there I think is really important. And I'll just be honest, I don't want to have sex with somebody that's not present. Like, no, thank you. No, thank you.
of
Mm,
course.
yeah.
A lot of dudes do, though.
Well, and maybe that's
They
just,
don't care.
chemical and hormonal makeup. I don't know. But yeah, because to me, it's a spiritual act, right? And
Well
really, when I thought about it this week with these cards, it's like every relationship in our life is a sacred relationship. Otherwise, we wouldn't have it,
well, absolutely.
And so we need to treat them that way. And find the others by becoming the partner we want to be in whatever relationship arrangement, and we attract the people that want to be in that same relationship, and then just kind of making sure we're on kind of similar footing, um, because
I was when I think of this exchanging gifts card, I'm thinking about how I used to have a sign when I had an office on Etsy that said, um, "Ask not what your marriage can do for you, but what you can do for your marriage."
yeah.
And a lot of people that come into my office are complaining because they're not getting this, they're not getting that, they're not getting this, they're not getting that.
Mhm.
And I like to talk with couples about the proposition that marriage is a giving proposition. And I was just telling a couple yesterday that I'm working with, and I told them like they are going to send me to therapy because they're both left brain. And they
Ugh,
literally make rules for each other and, like, fall and you didn't do the thing that you promised you would do within the 24-hour period that you said you
oh my
would. I'm
gosh.
just going like, "Oh my god." I was just telling 'em my husband and I we don't set rules for each other, you know? We kindly make requests to each other, and, I was like, "Oh my god." And I was telling him how and he was like, "Well, if she's decided to do the groceries, then I don't want her, plopping on me going suddenly, 'Can you do it?' Because we've agreed
Right.
that she's go." Okay, I told him, like, "Here's the deal." I said, "When me and my husband were talking about getting married, I said to him, like, I want to really love you and enhance your life. I think marriage should be a life enhancing thing.
Mhm.
Gonna enhance my life, I'm gonna enhance his life." And I was like, what are the ways in which I can enhance your life? Even in just household kind of things. And he said, "I would love it if I never had to go in a Target or a Walmart or a Kroger ever again. I
Wow.
love home cooked meals. I would like to eat at home a home cooked meal. It doesn't have to be a home cooked meal every day. Like I do leftovers,
Mhm.
but I love to eat at home, let's say 90 to 95% of the time." And I was like, "I will do that for you." And I told him, even though my husband's retired, y'all, I work all the time. I work all the time. I do all the grocery shopping. I do all the cooking. I do,
Wow.
um, I cook for him 3 or 4 times a week, or at least buy really great heat up meals from Whole Foods or whatever. So we have,
Mhm.
do it. And if I'm unable some night to go to the grocery, I get them delivered sometimes, but he'll do it. He'll do it in a pinch. But I just love doing that for him. I love that I am able to take that from him. And that couple, when I told them about this, they're going, "Oh my God." They were like, and I said, "I think of it as love. Love is a
Yes.
verb, it's an action. It's a giving and doing for someone because you love them." And I'm like, "You want them to be happy." I was telling the husband who harangues his wife, like, "You don't keep your word. You didn't call the electric guy, but by the time you said you would."
Mhm.
And I'm just going like, "Y'all don't cut each other any slack, man."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Ask yourself, is what I'm doing loving? Is it loving?" You know? But yeah, this exchanging gifts, I think of love as I'm giving to you and you give to me. And then we've got this synergistic thing going on by acting in
Yeah.
love for each other.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm gonna ask Tina tonight what I can do because I love that idea, so thank you for that.
I
Yeah,
think
I'm gonna
it's a
ask her, "How can I make your life better?"
they were really dumbfounded by it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And we've been married 13 years and I've been doing this the whole time. In fact,
Yeah, that's fabulous.
earlier today I had like 2 hours between clients and I ran out to Walmart.
Good for you. So, yeah, that's great. I'm gonna ask her, "What can I do to make your life better?" Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I hope I do things that make her life better, but I haven't asked her a question like that in a
I
very
think
long
y'all
time,
should. I
so
think that'd be a
yeah.
very interesting conversation and very fruitful.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun. So I'll definitely ask her that. So I thank you. That's great. I love that. So
And it's all
we
came from that card that you pulled.
it's great. Yeah, thank you. Exchanging gifts. And then I got a gift from Dr. Becky. Thank you. I get many, many gifts from you, my friends.
Thank you.
So, all right. So we kind of talked about go the distance, but I want to ask your kind of like your top three things that successful long term relationships possess. Like, what are the characteristics of those?
Uh, well, flexibility and an ability to go with the flow, spontaneity, easygoing, those are the people who are happiest with themselves and in relationships. So I would say, like, if you're out there dating someone right now and they're very rigid, and things have to be a certain way, like that
Yikes.
those clients I'm working with,
Yeah.
those are those are not the easiest people to be married to, y'all. You can make life a lot easier on yourself by the kind of person that you choose, you know? And, like,
Mhm.
I married the most accepting man in the world, you know? I work with couples all the time going, "Well, you won't come to bed when I go to bed, you won't," yeah, and my husband would never, if I stayed up and he would never, ever get on me about that. He
Yeah.
would never say, "Why'd you go out with your girlfriends the other night and stayed out till 11 o'clock?" My husband would never do that, and these that's what my clients are saying to each other.
Gosh.
"Why would
Yeah.
you go out with your guy friends when you could be here with me?"
Hmm.
Like, I don't know, so I think, the second thing is along this line of just being a grown up and accepting people and stop trying to change them or wish they were different than they are. People can't be are probably not gonna change that much, most people. You could get some tweaks going,
Yeah.
but pretty much you marry somebody as is, and you really need to accept what they wanna do with their life. And like I was telling a woman yesterday who's in a marriage, she had this long list of gripes, because she never wants to be apart from her wife,
Mhm.
and her wife feels strangled, you know, and she just goes, "But I love her so much." I'm like, "But it's not loving to
Yeah.
jail your spouse. If you really love her, you want her to have a happy life with you and away from you, you know? You want her to develop her individuality and whatnot.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is this particular person is very immature. She's thinking about what she wants, you haven't done this, you haven't done that. And sure enough, she's in a marriage crisis because her spouse can't take it anymore.
Mhm.
So, being mature and being able to be alone, welcome your spouse to be who they are and do the things that make them happy. And and the third thing is in the third thing would be understanding that it's your responsibility to bring your best self to the marriage.
Yeah.
You have to take care of yourself in a way where you're in a good mood, you're healthy. You go to the doctor when you should, you go to the therapist when you should. You are doing everything in your power to bring a sparkly, energetic, loving person to the marriage.
Yeah, that's and when I read that at first in one of your blog posts, I mean, it kind of set me back a little bit because I never I guess I never really thought about it in those terms that like I have a responsibility to bring my best self to my marriage every day. I think on some days like my marriage should be propping me up today, right? Not me propping my marriage up. And not always, but like and I guess when I really thought about that and really thought about, yeah, I guess I do bring my best self. I try. the best that I can to bring it in. And it's like, oh, that's why that, things, when things are going really good, it's usually like everything else in our lives, my outer world is a reflection of my inner world.
Of
So
course.
yeah, yeah. But I guess it really challenged me in a way. I just hadn't thought about it that way. That's the thing.
It's
But it's
doesn't
right.
it isn't it common sense though, what now that you hear about
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah.
because if you've got a spouse that's all in a massive depression or they've got hormone problems or PMS or whatever the obstacles there are to why they can't bring their best self to the marriage. My next question is, what are you doing about your hormone problems? What are you doing about your
Hmm.
PMS? What are you doing about your depression? "Oh, I haven't done anything." Well, okay,
Yeah.
you know what?
Do something.
Your spouse is sitting there watching you helplessly. They can't fix you.
Exactly.
You should not bring this beast of a self around your spouse. You need to do everything you can to find answers to this and be able to pull yourself out of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I
that's
totally agree. Yeah. So we have one last card, and then I know we're going to wrap up here in just a few minutes. Do you have a few more minutes to hang with
sure,
us? I think
sure.
we're right at the top of the hour. So this last card was why. And I thought this was a really, really great card to look at the why just in relationships, and the way that the guides were kind of leading us in the conversation there was really about us establishing our why. Like, why do we want a relationship of a specific kind? Or, for quite a long time, I thought I wanted, I have a very small inner circle of friends by design. And I thought I want another person in that circle. And, I've had to kind of back up and ask myself, okay, why? And and what are my thresholds for that for me personally. And that's been a really interesting journey to go on, even in the friendship realm, but also in any kind of romantic relationship. We don't stop and talk to ourselves a little bit and understand our why do we want this and what are we looking for. And I think oftentimes when you were talking about maybe we could make a wiser selection and a mate goes for friends too, it's like that why I think is really important, and it's about knowing yourself better.
For
Or
sure. I was talking to a young woman this morning on a podcast. She was married twice, now divorced, has kids, and she's dating a guy that has kids. And and she knows that I'm very skeptical of blending families because the stats say 75% of blended families end up in divorce. Most children hate it. And although there are people who get it right, they are in the minority. And most of the people I work with have not gone out, like I said, and gotten their associate's degree in relationships.
human relationships, yeah.
She was talking about, would I be against the idea of her marrying this man? And my first question is, why do you want to enter into a legal business family dynamic? You've done it twice. Why do you wanna do it again? Why? When you
Mhm.
could have a commitment ceremony and have a party if that's and you could live in separate houses and just get together a lot, that's what I would recommend.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
think that's what I'm doing next, if there is a next for me.
well,
That's
I
what
was just I was
yeah.
just digging in on the why of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I think people, it just drives me crazy that when you reach a certain age and you fall in love with somebody, then you just get married. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you want a legally binding situation with another human being? Why?
Mhm.
What's the point? And I know we live in Arkansas, right? There's a Bible
Yeah.
Belt. Oh, Jesus said, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but I don't buy that, honestly. Like, I know I'm gonna wanna honor everybody's belief systems, but I think a lot of people get themselves in a lot of family troubles, unhappy situations trying to go by those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I wish there was a lot less marriage, that it was more rare. I don't think it's necessary, honestly.
Yeah, that's really interesting coming from a married woman and another married woman who's like, "I don't think I would do this again." As much as yeah, as amazing as my marriage is, first of all, I don't know that anything would top it. So, especially where we're at now, like, it's like 31 years and we're at at the best time in our marriage as far as I'm concerned. We don't even have to check in with each other every day anymore because it's like, yep, we are way off the stratosphere on the
Oh
scale we
gosh.
established for each other. But I still wouldn't want to do this again because I I think and we're not going to part until one of us is in the ground or there's been that so for the first year I'll just I'll just run this rabbit down for a second. But the first year that we lived in Arkansas, we had many joking, not joking conversations about murder, suicide, and who would do which part. Because we were frankly pretty miserable here. So for a lot of reasons, we'll go into those sometime over lunch or something, Becky. But yeah, and so we joked about it. It's like, well, are you the murderer or the like which one are you going to be today? So, but we've like at this point where we're at in our life, I wouldn't change anything. And yet, I wouldn't do it again. So, one of us is going to pass away at some point, and that's how our marriage will dissolve. And if I'm not the one that croaks first, I'm not intending to do that. Now, it doesn't mean that I won't commit to somebody and commit to a single person, because I think I've learned that about myself too. This a little bit here recently is that just, what would that look like for me? Yeah, I don't know that I would have more than one romantic relationship, but I don't believe I would step into marriage with that person. So,
Human beings, our civilization thrives in freedom.
yeah. And then we hamstring ourselves.
You said it.
Yeah.
You said it. As soon as you marry, you've got somebody else that you have to really put a focus on. And I was single for most of my life, so even though I've been married quite a few times, if you add up all the years, it's just about 20-25% of my life.
Yeah. Or if they had an opinion, it didn't matter. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I had my hook, like in the
Yeah.
vaudeville, the hook and take them off the stage.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. So I love that. Well, this has been fun. Any last thoughts you
No,
want to share with everybody?
I wanna give you a major kudos. You're a superb podcast host, and
Oh, thank you.
your questions are fabulous, and, everything about this was a massively enjoyable experience, and, like, I just thought you were fantastic. So
Thank you.
and I'm serious, because I've been on a lot of podcasts since my book came out,
Mm.
and, that was last February, and you're right up there with the top tier interviewers in my opinion, so
Thank you. Thank you. So maybe we'll make this a podcast. So who knows? I was thinking about that earlier today. It's like maybe I'll just
you're
yeah.
posting stuff on YouTube. What do you
Yeah,
call
yeah.
those? You not call those
It's a
podcasts?
pod I no, I mean it's a podcast of sorts, but I have also thought about starting just the audio focused podcast too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
who
I
knows? Yeah.
personally love seeing the people.
I do too. I do too. I
I
love to
start
see
my morning
faces and
off
yeah,
watching little YouTube
I do too.
podcasts every morning when I get up.
Yeah, yeah. I do too. I do it when I'm getting ready, when I get out of the shower. It's the first thing I do is turn on YouTube and see what mystical fun things come up in my feed. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Becky, for being here. Thanks for all the amazing work you're doing in the world to help couples that are, kind of dealing with the fact that they didn't get their associate's degree. Well, I sure appreciate you being here with me today. Thank you so much. I loved it. And if you want to, we'll do it again soon.
Yes, and listen, I want you to do me a favor, and that is I want to buy some Oracle cards too, and I want you to suggest a deck that would be good for me and maybe your viewers. And I want to get my daughter one for Christmas.
Here it is. This is where
Okay,
I would start. This is
what
Colette Baron Reed's
move it over
Oracle.
this way a little bit? Yeah, the Oracle of the 7 Energies. Okay, okay.
Yeah. This is, you can get it at Hay House and it's on sale today. I don't know how long the sale goes, but I know it's there today. This is this is my guide's favorite deck by far. So, and then
Consider it
the
done.
yeah, and then this is the one we pulled out of this week. This is Wisdom of the Oracle.
You just like
Again, Colette
Colette.
Baron.
You like Colette Baron Reed.
I do. She's going to join my BFF posse next year, so I'm calling her in.
Oh my god, that's fabulous. I'd love to
And
hear the story of her cards.
yeah, and here's another one I like a lot that my guides get me to often. You can get all of these at Hay House, but this is the Shaman's Dream Oracle.
Well, I love it.
Yeah. So those are some of my guides' favorites. So I just let them lead me to whatever deck. That's how I do it. So
That's
anyway,
fantastic. Okay, thank
yeah.
you.
All right, chickadees. So that's a wrap for today, and I had a great time with Dr. Becky. Thank you so much, Dr. Becky. Really appreciate you being here with us, and so glad that you could make the time to do it. And we had a little bit of a wonky end. We had a leaf blower incident that occurred that kind of got us a little off kilter. But Dr. Becky, I adore you, and I do appreciate you very much, my friend, and look forward to knowing you and being friends with you for many years. So, all right. And so, chickadees, that's it for this episode. And we'll try to do this more often. If you like this, you found it helpful, please like it and maybe put a comment in so we know that you want more of this kind of material. And maybe we'll try to do it every so often and expand our offerings a little bit. So, all right. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time on Mojo Mysticism. Mwah.